Hello, and in this episode I'm talking about the mind. So I have been thinking a lot about this video and I have been going through a lot of changes in my life, and I wanted to share what happened with those changes in terms of my mind. So I have been listening to Dr. Joe's Tuning into the New Potential meditation. So it's a little under an hour meditation. I listen to it every morning. And Spirit always wakes me up between 3 and 4 a.m. to listen to that meditation. And the whole basis of that meditation, it actually comes from the book he has called Becoming Supernatural. So Becoming Supernatural, that book is about how people have basically changed everything they wanted in their lives through meditation. And he leads them in guided meditation experiences so that they understand how to do it, so that he leads them through it. So the wonderful thing is, if you can't go to his workshop, you can actually buy the book, you can buy the meditation, and you can do it on your own. But like anything that you want to achieve, it takes dedication, perseverance, and passion, of course, because you're meant to, before you do the tuning into the new potential meditation, you're meant to do some homework. So in that book, Becoming Supernatural, I think it's chapter 3 or 4. It has you do an exercise, and really you need to read the book. Don't just listen to me. So you do this exercise where you establish what you want to create in your life, and based on what you have established on what you want to create in your life, you do the meditation, because at the end, towards the end of the meditation, he has you focus on the new potential that you want to create. So if you haven't created a new potential, then you have no focus. So when I started doing this potential, this tuning into the new potential, I had it in mind a very specific experience I wanted to create. And the wonderful thing that he talks about is that when you create it, when you start doing this meditation, you actually get into the point where you manifest. And I'm going to explain how you manifest it. So, oh, and I look like this because I just finished running on my treadmill, because I had to download some information of some studying I was doing today. So a good way to do that is exercise, but I'll talk about that probably in the mind, body, spirit video, or it could be in the body video. So anyways, he says, like, obviously you have to know what you want to create, right? But you're not to think or know how it's going to come into your life. So I had put in one of my pages for creating a new potential in my life that I wanted to have a certain experience. So I decided that I wanted to get back into the workforce, and I wanted to work with people who had unlimited potential for earning money, because I haven't been around people like that. I have been a teacher since 1987, and in education, your income is capped at when you get to a certain point on the salary grid, and you have X amount of time, X amount of years, and X amount of education. So you're at the top of the scale, and you actually can't earn any more unless you become an administrator. And I didn't want to do that because that's a lot of responsibility, especially if you have a family to raise, like I have a son. And so I want to make sure that I have time to dedicate to him, as well as my job and my business, which I love. I love my business so much. So this is why I do what I do. So in doing that meditation, I actually got a job. I got an interview for a job, and I did it with online recruiting, and I got an interview for a job, and I thought, oh, right on, I got the job. And then I thought, Karen, don't be so quick to think that you have this job. It's just an interview. So I went for a job, that interview, and I went, and I really liked how they conducted the interview. I loved it, and I was in my zone, and I noticed some similarities with the first person who interviewed me and myself. So that shows me that I'm in the right place at the right time, right? Synchronicities. And I want to talk to you about the word coincidence. A lot of people think coincidence means, oh, it just happened, just like happenstance. But if you look at the root word of coincide, it means when things come together. So people have taken that word coincidence and they've turned it into something that it actually isn't. A coincidence is actually something that is meant to come together, okay? So I just had to put that in there. So then I went through the series of interviews, and I really liked how they conducted it. It was very it'll reveal, certain characteristics about people's personalities to see if they're suited to this. So when it got to the point where they talked about what income you could earn, I kind of started laughing, because I never have really been in a room with people who have unlimited potential for earning, and I really liked that. So you see, I manifested that destiny, and I did not expect it to be what it ended up being. What I was actually looking for was just a job where I just went to work, I just went to money, wanted to make some money just to get by. But then I realized, because I had in my potential that I wanted to create, I wanted to have unlimited income, because Dr. Joe says, if you want a certain amount of money, then you list that you want this certain amount of money. But think about it. If you had the opportunity to create an unlimited experience or unlimited income, which one would you choose? Would you choose the one where your salary is capped at a certain point, where you can't go anymore, so therefore you can't have a different kind of lifestyle that you want? Or would you choose the unlimited income, and would you choose to surround yourself with people who can show you how to do that? So that's what happened. And I'm not going to say that it was easy, because when I was hired, I had to kind of jump through these hoops to do things. And let me tell you, I am a learner, and I like the challenge of learning. But what I had to do for this is I had to take a course, and the course was, it was not the easiest course for me, because it was full of new language. I call it jargon of the industry that I'm in now. And you had to write a test at the end of every, was it a module? And when I didn't do very well on one of these tests, I was devastated, because I had never done so poorly on a test, and I went into shock. So the first thing I did is I had to phone my mom and tell her how difficult it had been for me. But I had someone like a sounding board, and I got to a point where I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue, not because I didn't love the industry I was getting into, but because I found the task quite difficult. So I did several things to make sure that I went on with it. I just spoke to people that would be my support, right? Obviously I didn't phone someone that was going to tell me to quit, because when I talked to my mom, she said to me, Karen, if you really love this job and you really love what you're doing, then she said, just give it your all and forget about all the other stuff, which is exactly what I did. I found when I had to do the certified test on my computer that I just shut my phone off, and I got my mind into the space that I needed to be able to succeed. So what did I do? I made sure that I ate brain healthy food. So remember, your brain is made primarily of fat. So if you feed it healthy fats, you're feeding your brain. Therefore, you have more brain power. And also, when I was feeling kind of down, I had a cup of hot chocolate, and with the real cocoa, right? And I made one for tonight. So I let it go. So I made this cup of hot chocolate, and it made me feel really good, because the cocoa is actually an antioxidant, right? Makes you feel good. It cleans you up inside, gets rid of free radicals, cleans you up, but it gives you a focus and clarity. And chocolate is also has the same ingredient in it, whatever it is. And I'm not going to get technical on this, because I'm not there yet. But it gives you the same feeling you get from love. And when I was doing that course, I was actually really loving that experience, because it was such a challenge. And I found that I had to do certain things to make sure that I could succeed. So I ate brain food, right? Fats. So avocado oil in, my salad, or extra virgin olive oil that's cold pressed. Same with avocado, cold pressed avocado oil. Because if it's cold pressed, they haven't altered the molecular structure of the oil. And so when you buy oils, you want to make sure they're not refined, and you want to make sure that they're cold pressed. So avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, and coconut oil. And the interesting thing, I'll just go on a little side venture here. The interesting thing is, if you have really dry skin, and I put coconut oil in my decaf coffee in the morning, along with some grass-fed butter, and I found that my skin wasn't dry anymore. It became really soft, and it feels really nice. And that's what coconut oil can do for your skin, but it's also good for your brain. So I made sure I had that for breakfast, right? Some sort of oil, some sort of fat. I do that bulletproof coffee, where you use coffee, and you could have MCT oil, which is refined, no, it's like altered coconut oil. So it's a liquid, but I found my body actually likes coconut oil better in its original state. So I use coconut oil, grass-fed butter, and coffee. I whip it up on my blender for 30 seconds to a minute, and it gets nice froth, and it feels really good. And the fat actually makes you feel full, and you don't get weird cravings. So I have that. And then it was interesting because I found my mind didn't like the course or the testing early in the morning. I tried one morning and it was okay, but I wasn't really into it. I found that my brain actually worked better in the afternoon. So I would do all the things I wanted to do in the morning, and then I would do my course in the afternoon and into the evening. And I would only give myself a certain amount of time, because I found after a certain amount of time my brain shut down, and it had no more room for information. So if that happened to me in the afternoon, I would lay down, put my hands flat down on my bed, and I would close my eyes for about 30 minutes, and I would allow, it was like I went into a meditative space, but I allow that information right from my conscious mind to go down into my subconscious mind, which is what happens when you meditate, and it happens when you sleep as well. So you do a download. After about 30 minutes, I found, you could try it with 20 minutes, I found that my brain had enough room in it to go and learn some more on my computer. So I did that, and I found that was very successful, because our brain can only handle so much, right? During your waking day, your conscious mind stores all the information that's useful in it, and when you sleep at night, it downloads into your subconscious mind, right? You know that because I talk about hypnotherapy. That's also how hypnotherapy works. We slow down the conscious mind to about the rate of the subconscious, which is down here nice and low and slow, and then at that time we can work with the information that's in the subconscious. But we also can, it's like when you come out of a hypnotherapy session, you feel really well rested, because you've allowed that conscious mind to slow down so that it's not so busy and not so active, which can actually cause like brain fatigue and mental fog and things like that if you don't allow your brain to slow down enough. So just a little bit about your mind there. So another thing that I found, and some people who understand how important it is for physical activity will attest to this. If you find your mind needs a break, do some exercise. So I thought, one day I was just like, I just feel burnt out. I'm just gonna go run on my treadmill for like just 10 or 15 minutes, just to like burn that out of my body. And my goodness, when I sat back at my computer, I was like good to go. It was like I had a fresh brain. Amazing. And these are things that you learn, I think, when you're struggling, and if you're sitting there and you're trying to learn and nothing's happening, you actually need to take a break. And that's why some workplaces actually have included, yoga classes or exercise programs, or maybe, memberships to gyms or discounts on memberships to gyms, because they understand how important it is for their employees to be healthy, and how important it is for them to download and de-stress. And physical activity is an excellent way to do that. So I found that was very, very valuable, because we finally got through all 4 modules. I had to write a provincial test, and I was apprehensive about that provincial test, because you have up to 3 times to write it before you have to wait. I think you have to wait 6 months again before you write it again. So I finished the course on a Tuesday and wrote the test on a Wednesday. And when I walked into that test, I said, Karen, you are only going to write this test once. You're going to do the best that you can, and you're not coming back. And I passed all 4 tests, because you had to write 4 tests for this. And I was done, and I was so glad I got my test marks the next day, and they were all, above what I needed to in order to pass. And I was really grateful that I'd had that experience, right, to learn something new, my age, but I'm a learner and I love to learn. But also that I passed it. I jumped through every hoop that I had to do in order to move forward in this new job that I had, because sometimes when you're in an old job, it feels really good because it feels really comfortable and you know what to expect. And when I was teaching, I loved working with the children. I just found that I couldn't grow mentally, intellectually, or anything. It was like been there, done that, and it was boring. And our brain does not like to be bored. It likes stimulus. It likes change. It likes new things. And that's why if you're feeling stuck and stagnant in your life, it's because you don't have enough mental stimulus to entertain you, to make you feel like you're thriving, and maybe even struggling, and maybe even having a challenge. You need that in order to learn and grow. And some of you are probably thinking, oh no, I'm done, I'm tired, I'm this age, I have struggled so much in my life, I don't want any more of that. But your brain loves it. And if you feed your brain something new, it doesn't have to be something negative, right? Like where you're like, oh, try and pull your hair out because you're all stressed. It could be something new. It could be like a new exercise program, or it could be taking an art class, or you could go to one of those paint nights, or you could take up walking with a new friend, or, you know, there's so many things that you can do to stimulate your brain's growth that you'll feel like a new person. Because absolutely in this job I really like, I like the challenges that are set out in front of me, and I feel like that meditation has delivered the challenge to me that I want, but also an opportunity to have unlimited income, whereas before I was limited with the people that I hung around with. Because, you know, if you're in one field of work and everybody, you know what everybody makes because you're on a pay scale, and it's based on years of experience and not on merit, then everybody can make the same amount. It doesn't mean they're any better or any worse than you. It just means that they're at the same scale, right? The same amount of years, or, you know, education or whatever. So going back to talking about the mind, I have to have some hot chocolate. So the whole concept of tuning into your new potential, here it is. I'm going to tell you in 2 sentences. One, you send a thought out into the quantum field. So you send it out into the ethers, right? So you do this all the time by what you think about. So if you're thinking about something constantly, whether it's positive or negative, you have sent out, it's like, you know how they have those sonar things, like on those shows where they show like beep, 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 and it's like moving far away. That's the same thing that happens with your thought. So Spirit said to me, oh, that's a good example. Or they corrected me, they said, your guide said to me. So you think of that little dot on the sonar, and it's getting further and further away from you, which is okay, because you're sending that thought out. You're sending a thought out. And remember, when you send thoughts out, you're actually sending out a thought, and the universe thinks that's what you want. Okay, so if you're always thinking of negatives, why does this always happen to me? Why am I, okay, here's a better example. Self-fulfilling statement or prophecy. I always, or this always happens to me. So that's an affirmation. So you have sent out into the quantum field that this thing always happens to you, whether it's positive or negative, okay? So then by sending that thought out into the quantum field, the energy field, you are saying this is what you want. Now, the way you receive it is by a feeling that you create in your heart space. So if you're trying to create something new that's good, but you don't know how to feel it, that's a problem, okay? So you have to figure out how, okay, I send out a thought into the quantum field, and then I feel, or I know what it feels like here in my heart space, because that magnet right here is going to give you what you want, what you desire. So how do you do that? The way you think about, you think of this experience that you've had that's made you feel really good, right? I always give my top 2 favorite experiences that I've had that I can draw a parallel to. So the first one was my wedding day in my second wedding, because it was so beautiful. I actually cried in the church, and I had a hard time bringing the words out because I was so overwhelmed by the intense emotion, the love that I felt for that person that I was getting married to. And the second time I felt that in a different way was the day I held my son in my arms after I gave birth to him. I didn't know you could feel such bliss from this little bundle of, you know, whatever you call joy. that's like, wow, what an amazing feeling. So when I want to feel better, I think like even talking about that now just fills me with such a beautiful, intense joy. And I feel it right here in my heart space. So then when you create your potential from that, when you read that book, Becoming Supernatural, and you write your letter on the page that represents whatever it is you want to manifest, and then you write on the left side of the page, your left is over here, you write what you want to achieve with that, and then on the right side of the page you write the emotions that you'll feel when you have that. So whatever it is that I want to create, as I'm in that meditation space, I can feel in my heart space what it would feel like to have that experience. And it feels so good. And when you can get to that point, you actually can create what it is you want in your life. But you have to get to the emotions. You have to get to the feeling. And understand that, it doesn't, with some people it happens very quickly, but for other people who have this programming that they've held on forever, it may be difficult for them to let go of the old programming. And also, squirrel brain is always interrupting. Oh, you got to do this, or oh, that person at work really bothers me, or oh, my family needs this, or I have these responsibilities, I don't have time to do this, or I can't do this. So because your conscious mind will try to butt in while you're meditating. And so this is what I did, because mine was doing that. I went quantum field, and then my mind would go like boom to the quantum field. And it was really cool because when I went to squirrel brain, I went to quantum field. And then I see the quantum field in my mind, which is kind of like a white light space. And it's expansive, it's huge, because his meditation takes you to that place where you are no thing, nowhere, no how, all that stuff. There's no time there. So you're going to the quantum field where everything happens at once, time doesn't exist, and everything is created from a thought. So if you can train your brain to get there, the wonderful thing is, once you have arrived at that place where you send the thought out of what you want, and you can see it if you're visual when you meditate. Not everybody is. Some people will just sense it. And then you can feel that emotion in your heart space. You can create it more quickly. And the thing that he said, and I said this before in this video, is that it's not up to you to decide how it comes to you, just understand that it does, right? Because the more we try to put in our thought processes how things are going to happen, the more we slow it down, right? So unexpected, it's like having unexpected pleasures, like, oh my goodness. And I talked about also, when you have a positive outlook, focus, you actually bring those people into your life who mirror you. They are like you, they're a reflection of you. Now, if you get someone in your life that doesn't mirror you, doesn't reflect you, and is actually the opposite of you, or is like a thorn in your side or something like that, that is just a karmic review. And you're made to pay attention to that person and say, I must have some karmic ties with this person, and look at it from that point of view instead of, oh, this person is just annoying the beep out of me. So you think of, why is this person in my life? What do they have to teach me, and how am I going to resolve this issue? Because that person is in your life because you drew them to you, and so you have to look inside yourself to find out how you can alter yourself and how you can heal that aspect of yourself that drew that person to you. Because I heard Spirit, my guide, say to me, that's a healing opportunity for you, because there's some downfall in you. There's something about you that's attracting this person, so that you can heal that aspect of yourself that's drawing that person into your energetic field. That's all it is. Because not everything is always sunshine and roses. I'd like to believe that it is, but it's not. We have these difficulties that come to us, so that we have a problem to present it to us, and we're able to solve it by looking inside ourselves to see what asset or what facet of us has created that, and how we can go ahead and co-create success for both people who are involved in that situation. Yes. So if you have situations like that in your life, take some time to sit down in a meditation and ask your mind to show you, what does this have to show me? So then your mind will show you what this situation is all about. And if you're lucky like me, yes, you have a good friend who is as spiritually advanced as you are, and you can talk to that person and say, I just need some confirmation. I have this situation and this is what I think it's about, okay? Now, we're not targeting a person to say that they're a bad person or a good person or whatever. What we're saying is we have a difficult situation in our life that has to do with another being. You know what? It could even be a pet. It could be a dog, a horse, a cat, a chicken. It could be a person at work. It could be a family member. It could be anybody, right? It could even be your spouse. So I have this situation and I feel like this is what it's about. And then you ask that friend that you have that vibrates like you, if for confirmation, and the person will hear or sense what they are meant to share with you. And it's not their opinion on it, it's their take on it with the spiritual outlook. And so they have guides that work with them too, because when I ask the friend that I have, I'll hear the answer in my mind before the entire question gets posed, so I get the answer already. But I do like to hear my friend's opinion, because often she will have an insight she'll have an insight into it that I don't have. Which, I wanted to say this, and I said this to my friend today when we spoke on the phone, is that we are not meant to work on our own. We are meant to work in unison with others who are like-minded, who want the people who work around them to rise above to where they are or better. So when I was teaching, I was so proud of my students. If they achieved something greater than what I could, I was really proud, because I knew I did an excellent job at teaching them, because I want my students who want to be better than what I am, I want them to succeed. And that's how you know you have a true and valued teacher, because you want your students to do better than you. So I would have these students who would find me after they graduated and they got, maybe they went to post-secondary school, or they graduated from that and they went into the workforce, and they would find me on the internet. And they would say, whatever my name was then, I wanted you to know I'm this and this and this. And I was so proud that they had achieved that level of success, and they told me that I had inspired them to, go for their dreams, achieve their goals, and they were so grateful. And also in turn, I was so grateful that I had helped them achieve the success that they wanted, because at no point did I tell them what they should do. I wanted them to find their way, and they did it. That was when I was an art teacher. They did it, whether they were part of my design club after school, or one young woman, I told her, well, we're going to use computers. It was an art class, and so we're going to digitize something, and this is the program that we're going to use. And she's like, oh, I hate computers. I don't like to use them, whatever. And I said, well, you'll find it's fun, because when you digitize art, you actually can alter that artwork without altering the physical piece that you use, like you scanned, right? Years later, she found me and she emailed me and said, thank you so much for making me use that computer, because guess what now? I'm a graphic designer and we use computers at work. So you see, I helped her, and yeah, it was uncomfortable, because growth is uncomfortable, but I helped her succeed where she didn't think she was going to, but because she became familiar with computers and she felt competent with them, she actually had an into this graphic design, and she did really, really well, and her work was phenomenal. It was amazing. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate your viewing these videos, and I hope you continue to watch. Thank you very much.